So most of you that know me know this about me. I love to read. I've probably read a book a week all my life, at least. And what I usually do is I have 4 or 5 books going. I think now I have about 10 books going at the same time. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's just the way I read. There's different ways to think of reading. One analogy is it's like a meal. So you want to have some appetizers, or let's say your vegetables, kind of maybe first up front. You want to have the main course, some, meat and potatoes, so to speak. And then you want to have a dessert at the end. So, it's kind of warm up reading, heavy reading, light reading, reading for fun, reading for relaxation. And another way to think of it is that reading should bless and encourage and minister to your spirit, your soul, your body. So you can read books about exercise, or not that I would do that, but things that would just actually help you physically, help you relax, and then read books that would minister to your soul, kind of the inside of who you are. Books that minister, bless, encourage your mind, your spirit. Anyway, there's lots of ways but I would pick a reading plan. Don't read lazily. Read with purpose. Think why you read what you read. When do you read it? Do you read fiction at night before you go to bed? What do you read on the weekends? What do you read when you go on a trip? Do you always take a book with you when you fly somewhere? Do you read on the airplane? Do you just sit there and veg out and watch movies, play Angry Birds? Again, not that I would ever do that, but I'm just saying. So this is what I'm going to do here. Is I'm going to actually tell you the books that I'm actually reading right now. These are the books I'm currently reading. And then it's just interesting, and I'd recommend these too. These are books I'm reading that I like, and you might want to pick up as well. One is called The Lemon Tree. It's actually one of the most helpful books, and I don't know that it's pretty easy to read. It's not an academic book. The subtitle is An Arab, a Jew, and the Heart of the Middle East. It's a secular book by Sandy Tolan, and it just follows the path of a Palestinian and Jewish family. It probably explains the Palestinian-Israeli situation as well or better than any book I've read. Chris and I have both read it. There's also a movie too. The movie's not great, but the book is really good. I'd recommend that if you want to think about the Israeli-Palestinian thing. And most people that I know that have read it on both sides of the aisle kind of about that issue think it's pretty fair. A book that I just finished, I finished Lemon Tree just a little while ago, a couple months ago. Just finished this, Talking to Terrorists, Why America Must Engage with Its Enemies. Again, a book that's kind of for your head. Talks a lot about the Hezbollah, the Hamas. It's this guy, Mark Perry's journey of actually interviewing, spending lots of time with terrorists. Talks a lot about the Iraq War, good and bad, ugly of the Iraq War. It's just an interesting read. So these are obviously all books on, kind of secular books about the Middle East. Here's a fantastic book by a great guy named Stephen Sizer. It's called Christian Zionism. And this book will challenge you. It really hammers the whole issue of how Christians, especially in America, in the West in general, but especially America, Christians, and some Christians, overly love, support the nation state of Israel. Now, not being supportive of Jewish people, obviously we're all for that, but Christian Zionism, in my opinion, has done more harm to the Middle East in general, to any potential peace opportunities there in the Middle East. And I think it hurts our soul when you choose kind of one side over the other, even Israel. When you choose Israel over others around them, Palestinians, Arabs, then it does nothing good. It doesn't do anything good for you. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help the situation. It doesn't help the Israeli Jews. I've had several Israelis tell me when I was in Israel, please go home and tell your Christian friends to stop supporting us. Stop sending us money. Stop doing it. You're killing us. It's actually interesting. That's a big conversation. That book, Christian Zionism, and then Stephen Sizer just has a new one out too. I can't remember what it's called, but that book would be a great one for you to read if you wanted to know more about that issue. A brand new book that's come out. In fact, I think it's out last week. I read the initial copy. It's called A Muslim's Mind by a good friend of mine named Ed Hoskins. And it's actually a book about the Hadith. You've probably heard of, there's the Quran, and then there's the sayings of the Prophet, the Hadith. If you just want a good read about what Muslims really think, why they act the way they do, what they believe, It's positive but revealing. I mean, it's very honest. That's a great book. So those are kind of my books on the Muslim world, the Middle East. This is a good one. A new friend of mine, Brady Boyd, wrote this book called Fear No Evil. He's the new pastor of the church in Colorado Springs, where I grew up, of New Life Church. And you may remember that's kind of the infamous church that Ted Haggart was the pastor of. Ted Haggart was the president of the Evangelical Association, National Evangelical Association for many years, maybe the most prominent evangelical leader kind of through the 90s and 2000, early 2000s. He fell into sin. Right after this pastor, Brady Boyd, came to take over this church, this big mega church, 12,000 people that had gone through the ringer, losing their pastor. This guy comes in, following the founding pastor, following the very charismatic pastor, Ted Haggart. It's not likely to go well, right? Then just after that, if you remember, there was a shooting spree. A crazy man drove down from Denver, I think, to Colorado Springs, and pulled up out front on a Sunday morning and killed several people, and then was shot dead by a local, kind of security cop lady that was in the church. Huge national news. So talk about going through the ringer. Well, Brady is an amazing guy. He's a great guy. Become a good friend. And this book will challenge you about fear and about courage and stepping out in faith. This has just been kind of a fun read. I just finished this about 3 weeks ago. It's called A Million Miles in 1,000 Years. You may have heard of Donald Miller. He wrote Blue Like Jazz. Great book. Just encourage it. This is a book for your soul. I mean, it just kind of fires you up, helps you dream, think, dreamy, fun, exciting thoughts, adventurous thoughts about your life. Where are you going? If your life was a movie, what kind of a movie would it be? Is it an adventure? Is it boring? Is it a romance? And all the stuff that goes with that. It's just a fun read, and I actually got a lot out of it. This book's called Jesus Through Middle Eastern Eyes. As you can see, it's kind of big. But Ken Bailey I think is the best author. If you want to read somebody that writes about the parables, about the life of Christ, about the Gospels in its cultural context, read a Ken Bailey book. And this one is kind of almost like a compilation of his best of. I don't know if he wrote it with that in mind or not, but it reads that way to me. Jesus Through Middle Eastern Eyes. If you want to get in-depth looks at the parables of Christ, this is the book. Just 3 more here. This is a good book. I'm about halfway through. N.T. Wright, one of my favorite authors, theologians. What St. Paul really said was Paul of Tarsus, the real founder of Christianity. Kind of a provocative title. It's actually not that provocative. It's just it's a book about Paul, about what he believes, and why he said what he said. Again, in the cultural context, I don't think we read the Bible very well as Americans, trying to imagine what it was like in the Middle East 2,000 years ago. N.T. Wright does a good job helping us do that. Here's a fun book by John Yoder. He wrote a book called The Politics of Jesus many years ago that probably some of you have read. This is called The War of the Lamb, The Ethics of Nonviolence and Peacemaking. If you want a challenging book, if you want to be challenged in how you think about nonviolence or the role of nonviolence in world politics, the role of nonviolence in a believer's life and somebody who's trying to follow Jesus, this book will rock your world. It's well thought out philosophically, theologically, biblically. It's a great book on peacemaking. And then finally, also about halfway through, One Life. It's the new book by Scott McKnight. Great guy, wrote Jesus Creed. Maybe some of you read that. Several other books. Jesus Calls, We Follow. It's actually a simple, almost like a primer on what it means to follow Jesus, but it's done very cleverly, very well, very clearly. Those are some books that I think are fun for you to look at. I would encourage you to think through strategically what and how you read. Make a reading plan, commit to it. Maybe have your spouse or some friends hold you accountable to that plan, not to bind you, not to feel guilty about what you're not doing, but to do things in a purposeful way that'll feed your body, mind, soul, and spirit.